Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, and today we have a video going over 150 plus tips for Hunt Showdown in 2025. This video will not include any kind of event tips or anything. There is an event going on right now as of January of 2025, but this is just going to be tips and tricks based off, what is permanently in the game and what is going to be staying after the event, because there are some permanent additions from the event, so I will cover those. Now, whether you're a beginner and you're just trying to find some help to kind of, learn some things in Hunt, or you're a veteran like me with over 3,500 hours and have been playing for years, hopefully you can take away something from this. And if you're a veteran, please leave a comment down below of, something that maybe wasn't mentioned in this video that others can see. It's kind of all help each other out in the comments with some even more tips that you might know that I don't know. Also, all of these tips can be applied to console or PC. I play on both platforms. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Tip number 1. Clues will always have a seal on them, and whenever you pick them up, the seal will break. This will be reflected for everybody on the map, so if you come across a clue that doesn't have a seal, then somebody's already picked it up, and there's probably people closely up ahead. Number 2. The first and second clues will gray out the same areas on the map for everybody. This is a great way to figure out where people are going to go, especially if you hear shots right at the beginning of a match, so you know where to expect them to go for their next clues and set up an ambush or prepare for a gunfight. Number 3. Utilize the map as much as possible. I'm always toggling it on and off to get an idea of where the supply carts are, if I need to go for a med kit if I'm out, or need some ammo, where the bounties are going to be, where bounty carriers are. This is the best way to get a game plan for where to position yourself, especially if someone's going to run for the extract. The information you get from the map is just endless, but it's the best way to get a game plan for how the match is going to go. Number 4. All 4 of the maps are actually 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer wide, and all of these yellow labeled compounds are the locations for the double clues. And if your RNG is in your favor, you can actually get 2 clues without having to go anywhere to get kind of a head start on where the bounty might be. Number 5. Clues will actually glow red and make all kinds of angry noises if enemy hunters are within 30 meters. So obviously be on the lookout, but just know that if a clue was taken by an enemy hunter and you are within that range, it will actually not glow red for them. But the same thing goes for you. If you take a clue and you kind of hang out for a while and then another team comes along, you'll actually never hear the clue glow red. Number 6. Whenever you're within 50 meters of a boss layer, the boss indicator in the top left hand side of your screen will actually pulse white. But if enemy hunters are also within that 50 meter range, then that indicator will pulse red, and in dark sight you'll also hear all kinds of angry whispers. Number 7. You can banish bosses and wild targets to get what's called a restoration effect, which is very useful if you need a quick heal, or if you're also downed health bars from burning or being downed previously, it'll replenish all of those bars as well. This is the most basic way to get your health back if you've been down previously, but we'll go over other ways to get your health back later in the video. Number 8. Whenever you pick up a token from a banished boss or wild target, you'll get what's called Dark Sight Boost. You'll get 5 seconds of this, or if you're a solo with Magpie, you'll get 10 seconds of Dark Sight Boost, but you want to utilize this as efficiently as possible. Right here, I used 3 seconds of it when I only used it technically once, and it's just not very efficient. What you want to do is pick it up and do a quick 360, which only takes 1 second to clear a whole area, and this covers a range of 150 meters. Number 9. Whenever you're out of Dark Sight Boost while holding a bounty, you will actually have what's called Instinct, which will glow orange around the outside of your screen if enemy hunters are within 75 meters. Number 10. You can actually loot more Dark Sight seconds off of dead hunters as long as you're holding a bounty. You just cannot exceed 5 seconds. So if you have 5 seconds of Dark Sight already, you might want to hold off on looting hunters just to be able to maximize the amount of Dark Sight boost you can get. Number 11. You can actually use Dark Sight to to track where bounty carriers are because they will have lightning above them, and this also shows on the map. This is very useful to figure out where people are coming from and pinpoint where they're at. Number 12. If you have a bounty token, you can actually Red Skull revive your teammate. Basically, if your teammate has lost all of his current health bars, such as being burnt out, you can actually still pick him up, but it does cost you 50 of your health permanently. Number 13. Extractions actually have an alert state if enemy hunters are within 30 meters. Number 14. Extractions can be blocked by enemy hunters as long as they're within 15 meters of the extraction zone. If they block the extract and then hop back off, it'll actually reset the extraction timer. This is very useful, so you can basically kind of touch the extract and then back off, touch it, and back off in the middle of a gunfight to prevent people from leaving. Number 15. As long as everybody hits the extract and somebody stays on it, the others can actually go back into the map and they will still extract with the timer counting down. This is actually very useful if you know that you're going to get pushed onto the extract. You can kind of go off to the sides and get some different angles and still fight and maybe prevent them from actually touching it. It can make for a lot of unexpected plays. Number 16. If your teammate goes down on the extract, it will actually pause the timer and you will be required to revive them to be able to continue to extract. So if you get a kill on the extract while someone's trying to leave, it'll actually stop them from leaving, giving you an opportunity to catch them. Number 17. Following tip number 16, if you don't have any way of being able to revive your teammates, such as if your teammate is permadead on the extract and you don't have a bounty, which clearly you wouldn't be able to Red Skull revive them, you can actually still extract. Number 18. Sometimes you have those matches that are really drawn out and you pretty much go until the end of the 45-minute timer. As long as you hit the extract before the end of the match, even if it's less than 30 seconds left in the match, you will still extract and save your hunter. Number 19. If you're still alive in a match and all the bounties have left, no matter what the timer was before, it'll go ahead and shrink down to a 5-minute timer, and that's all the time you have left to hit an extract. Number 20. If you fail to extract or your whole team dies by any means necessary, you will lose your hunter and all the equipment that was on that hunter. Number 21. But it's not a complete loss. Half of that experience that you gained during that match will actually go directly to your bloodline level. Number 22. No matter if you're playing as a solo or duos versus trios or just trios against trios, duos against duos, you will always have 12 people in your match as long as it's a full lobby. The same goes for quick play. Quick play, you'll always have 12 people as long as it's a full lobby. Number 23. There is actually a difference between being downed and being killed. Being downed will just be any kind of kill that you get, but being killed in the game is considered when you get Red Skulled, for when you lose all of your bars permanently. If you get a kill after someone gets Red Skull revived, you actually won't get credit for this kill. This is to prevent kill farming. Number 24. Dog kennels and chicken coops will always be red if they are active. They should obviously also have dogs and chickens in them. Number 25. You can also come across dog kennels and chicken coops that don't have any dogs or chickens in them. These are always just gray and they're not painted red or have a lantern above them. Number 26. The maximum range that a dog kennel can be heard when it's going off is about 250 to 275 meters.
I did dog kennel and crows.
Number 27. Ducks and crows will go off away from the hunter that set them off. This is a great way to figure out where people are going if you see ducks or crows in the air. Number 28. Crows can be heard at about a maximum distance of 160 meters.
Did you hear him?
Number 29. You can actually burn crows with lanterns. It's loud, but it's less loud than setting off the crows. Number 30. You can actually use poison hand crossbows or even poison bombs to get rid of crows silently. Number 31. You can actually throw the lanterns on top of ducks as well, as long as you directly hit one of the ducks. This is also still quieter than setting them off, but don't ask me how this works. It just works. Number 32. You might have seen this one coming, but you can also use the poison crossbow bolts or poison bombs on ducks as well. Number 33. The best way to get rid of horses is going to be with your primary weapon for a melee. You can hit it anywhere, even with a light hit, but when it comes to your tools or a pistol, you got a melee in the head, or you can just shoot it. It might be cruel, but it's the most effective, especially if you have a hand crossbow or a silencer. Number 34. Horses can actually kick you and deal damage, so that means it is possible to die to horses. Bad horse. Number 35. The maximum range that a horse can be heard when going off is about 265 meters. All the tips from the horses can be applied to the cows that are only found on Mammoth's Gulch. Number 36. Cows themselves are louder than horses, but when it comes to the range that they can be heard, the range is actually about the same. I tested this with a buddy of mine. You can actually hear when the cows become audible.
It's mooing. It's really loud. But you're not even moving. Drake? You heard him?
Number 37. In the mines of Mammoth's Gulch, you can actually find bats, and you can actually crouch right under them without setting them off, but I've never actually heard them really get set off in game, so I can only imagine that the range on these is extremely small, and only audible for about 30 or 40 meters. Number 38. You can actually jump over sticks, but if you do happen to step on them, they can actually be heard up to about 40 meters. They're relatively loud. Number 39. There are actually loads of sound traps that hang in buildings, such as hanging bottles, cans, hooks, chains, you name it. And this can actually be audible anywhere between 30 and 50 meters, depending on if you're crouching, walking, or running. I'm going to have all these sound traps playing so you can get an idea of how loud they are. Just know that also being in between buildings and having walls in between you and the sound traps will lessen the sound range of it as well. There can also be sound traps on the ground, such as broken glass and cans. Number 40. Crouch walking, walking, and running will obviously have an impact on how loud you are while you're traveling through the bayou. The sound you make is also affected whether or not you have objects in between each other. Number 41. Absolutely everything and anything can be heard in the bayou. Even aiming down sight, you take a breath in, and that can be heard through walls. My cane here is going to be toggling through different pieces of equipment, and I want you to guess what it is. Learning all these sound cues is what really separates hunters apart. Number 42. Look for and keep track of ammo boxes, especially these little guys here. They might not give you a whole lot of ammo compared to your big boxes, but these are really useful in a pinch, especially if you're in a drawn-out gunfight within a compound. If you're running low on anything, or need anything, supply carts are going to be your go-to. They'll have anything from lanterns, toolboxes, all the ammo boxes, even ammo types that you can swap to mid-match, as long as it fits the requirements, med kits, and even melee weapons sometimes, but it's kind of hit and miss. And then also any kind of event going on will typically have all the different packs and whatever they end up doing at the supply cart. Number 44. Supply carts that are boats will have all your typical fixings, like ammo boxes, toolboxes, and medkits, and any event stuff going on, but it's actually never going to have a lantern, so if you're looking for something to burn, don't even bother coming by this. Number 45. You actually don't have to climb these ladders of these skinny little towers to see what's up there. You can actually just peek through the hole from behind the ladder, and you can see if anything's up there. This is very useful, especially if you're just looking for ammo or a medkit. Number 46. You might want to just climb the ladder and check anyway, because there might be throwables, perks, or even like a gun for example that you might not be able to see from the bottom. Number 47. These big giant towers can be found across different parts of the map, and you should learn where they are because they're not marked on the map, but they're basically just giant supply carts, but the loot is all random. So sometimes you'll find something you need, and sometimes there's pretty much nothing in there. It's just really hit and miss, but you can find anything from medkits and consumables to special ammo boxes and weapons even. Number 48. You can actually find armories spread across the different maps. They're kind of hidden by crank doors, but they'll be a lot more reliable than the towers. You'll always have ammo boxes and medkits in there, and then something random like some sort of consumable. Number 49. These little white sheds can actually contain some sort of loot, so if you're really struggling with finding anything, definitely check these. Number 50. You can find these workbenches across all the different maps, and they'll usually contain gun oil, which can give you an instant unlock for whatever you're holding, or you can also find weapons and blueprints, and blueprints will actually give you a completely random unlock from anything that you don't have unlocked already in your arsenal in the lobby. Number 51. Saddlebags can be found on these hitching posts, and they can usually contain some sort of full-size weapon, or these little pouches can contain loot that toolboxes normally don't give you. Number 52. When it comes to looting toolboxes, there's actually a priority system. If you're missing some sort of tool, like a medkit charge, it'll give you that over a consumable. Number 53. Cash registers can give you anywhere between 50 and 1,000 hunt dollars, and you can also find golden cash registers which contain 50 blood bonds, but that's just chasing a unicorn. Number 54. Looting hunters have the same priority system as toolboxes. It'll typically replenish a medkit charge or any kind of tools you're missing like throwing knives, and then give you some sort of consumables, but if you have full inventory, then it'll give you hunt dollars. You can obviously take everybody's weapons as well. Number 55. Keep your eye out for traits. They can always be found just laying on the ground or on tables and buildings. It's really kind of endless, but they can be in the most random spots. Number 56. Burn traits will actually only be found in the world, and you cannot purchase them from the lobby screen with the exception of Necro, and once you use them, they will actually be taken off of your hunter. Number 57. Scars traits can also only be found in-game, but once you acquire them, you can use the perk as much as you want. You don't have to worry about it getting taken off of your hunter. Number 58. You can find these little sacks of hunt dollars around the map. These add up over time, so definitely pick them up. You can also find little sacks of blood bonds. These will only give you a couple at a time, but they definitely add up, so definitely pick them up.
Oh, special ammo here.
Number 59. You can find what's called envelopes, which you can loot to get a boost of bloodline XP, hunter XP, or trade points. Number 60. You can actually just find random guns laying around on the map, not even just in towers. You can actually find them just laying on tables or on the ground. Number 61. You can actually find melee weapons in the world that you can't normally get in the lobby screen, such as the shovel. There is the axe, but obviously that's an exception. The sledgehammer. and the pitchfork. Number 62. Whenever you're in layers or just buildings in general, sometimes they have these red square boxes that'll usually contain bear traps or even lanterns. Number 63. You can actually turn lanterns on and off, and this is actually very useful because you can turn them off and then throw them to a partner if they don't have something to burn, an enemy hunter with, and they might be in a weird spot. Number 64. With lanterns that are hanging on walls, you can still turn them off or even break them, and I recommend doing this especially if you're holding down a boss layer so that nobody can shoot them if you happen to be under it and forget about it, and then you obviously get caught on fire. Number 65. Oil on the ground will interact with any kind of spark or flame that comes in contact with it. Number 65. If you're on fire, you can still interact with a lot of stuff in the environment, such as grunts or even red barrels, so definitely be careful of that. Number 67. There are 3 different types of barrels. You have red barrels, which are explosive, yellow barrels, which are fire barrels, and green barrels, which are hive barrels, and contain poison and bees. Number 68. You can actually use alert tripwires to set up red barrel traps, and if someone runs into it, it'll actually insta-kill. Number 69. You can do the same thing with yellow barrels, except instead of insta-killing, it'll typically instantly burn off a 25 bar. Number 70. Red barrels cannot be set off by concertina tripwires. No matter how much wire you try to put on it. Number 71. On the other side, red barrels can definitely blow up. Number 72. You can also set off red barrels or yellow barrels with pretty much anything with a spark and a flame. I think they say the world is your oyster. Just get as creative as you want. Number 73. Melee attacks won't do anything to red or yellow barrels either. I don't know what psychopath would try to do this, but now you know. Number 74. If you put a choke bomb on red barrels or yellow barrels, you cannot blow it up whatsoever. No matter how much you shoot it, or try to throw anything onto it, doesn't matter. Number 75. Choke bombs will actually also partially stop oil spills from catching on fire, but it'll obviously continue to go through once the choke goes out. Number 76. If you just shoot a barrel once with normal ammo, it'll blow up, but eventually. So what I recommend is someone's running by a barrel and you don't have fire or incendiary ammo, double tap it and you'll set it off a lot quicker, which can usually make the difference between getting a kill and just hurting you. Number 77. Green barrels are actually the most sensitive thing in the bayou. Just punching it will blow it up and cause the bees to come chasing you and cause a giant poison cloud. Number 78. Unlike red and yellow barrels, green barrels can actually be blown up with concertina. This can actually make for a kill trap because they'll hit the concertina, slow down, they'll be caught in the poison cloud, and they have the bees attacking them, along with dealing with the bleed from the concertina. It's quite the combo. Number 79. Any kind of fire bombs or explosives will instantly get rid of the hides that come out of the barrel on top of just blowing it up. Number 80. You can actually use choke bombs to get rid of poison. That means if you throw them at a hive barrel, it'll get rid of the poison cloud and kill the bees. Number 81. The initial blast of the choke bomb won't do anything to the hive barrel, but once it's in the choke, you can actually break it and nothing will pretty much happen. Number 82. You can use and do pretty much anything to get rid of the bosses, but the butcher in particular hates blade damage, so out of the world melee weapons, the axe is the best option. The sledgehammer does fine as well. You can obviously sticky the butcher or use any kind of other explosives, and poison is also very effective against the butcher. Number 83. Dealing with the spider can be a really big pain, but the best way to get rid of it is usually with a sticky bomb. You can also use the axe and the sledgehammer are both good options as well, just like the butcher. And any kind of fire ammo is really strong against the spider, even though it's loud, but you can also bring a lot of incendiary ammo with a good amount of the silence weapons. Number 84. Scrappy can also be sticky bombed, but that will actually burn all of the loot that he carries because he does drop loot every aggro phase. But the best way to get rid of him is usually with anything pointy, so throwing knives or the pitchfork out of the melee weapons is actually the best option. Any kind of slashing weapons aren't really that great, or honestly just shooting them and going all out is really effective as well. Number 85. The assassin is actually probably the most hated boss in my opinion. But the assassin is best dealt with fire damage, also any kind of melees, like the bomb lance is a great option. I forgot to mention earlier, the bomb lance is actually really good for the butcher and the spider as well. But the assassin can also get stuck in the poison clouds like the butcher can, so poison, hand crossbow is a good option. And it is actually possible to be able to sticky the assassin. What you have to do is throw the sticky directly at the ground when the assassin pops up, and then someone else has to either shoot the sticky or throw like a lantern on it, and it'll blow up and deal a good amount of damage. Number 86. Every boss will have an aggro phase every quarter health, so just kind of prepare for this. They're usually stronger, deal more damage, and a bit faster whenever they do this as well. Or for the assassin, he just gets really annoying and duplicates himself and all that fancy jazz. Number 87. If you actually use a heavy attack, then a light, and then a heavy in that combination, you'll actually deal more damage, and you can actually partially skip the aggro phases. So instead of having 4 aggro phases, you'll only have to deal with 3. This is really effective when trying to be efficient and kill it as quick as possible without making noise, so you can get that boss banished quicker. Number 88. For pretty much all the bosses though, just bring a sticky bomb. It'll make your life so much easier. Number 89. Whenever you're at a scrap beat compound, you'll actually never find any loot in the compound, and that's because scrap beat carries all of it. So whenever scrap beat has its aggro phases, it'll always drop any of the loot that would have been in the compound. But be careful, because if you use any kind of fire ammo or explosives, it'll actually ruin the equipment that he drops. Number 90. Hellborn is a wild target. Wild targets are bosses that can be found outside of layers, but they'll still be confined within a compound or just a small area. Hellborn can only be found on Mammoth's Gulch whenever it's a single bounty. When it comes to Hellborn, it's usually just best to gun him down or use explosives such as a sticky bomb, or you can actually use choke bombs, and if you can keep him in the choke, which is kind of hard to do, it'll actually just melt through his health. Hellborn is honestly probably the most aggressive out of all the boss targets that we have. Number 91. Whenever you kill Hellborn, it'll instantly banish, there's no need to wait, and you can instantly pick up the token, but it only drops 1 token. Number 92. Hellborn is guaranteed to drop a burn trait whenever he's killed, so even if you didn't kill him, if you can go and see what he dropped, it's usually worth it. Number 93. Rotjaw is another wild target that can only be found in the waters of the Stillwater Bayou or Lawson Delta when it's a single bounty, rain, or fog match. She has her own clues, which are called traces, and they have this little smoke that comes out of them, and they don't gray anything out, but they will just point in the general direction of where she's located, but she will always obviously be in the water. Number 94. As a wild target, unlike Hellborn, Rotjaw you do actually have to banish and wait for a timer, but that timer is twice as fast as normal bosses. She also drops 2 tokens instead of 1, compared to Hellborn. Number 95. Meatheads can actually have different weapons. This one obviously has an anchor. The anchor will only do blunt damage, and the scythe can actually cause bleed damage and is a lot more lethal. Number 96. Meatheads actually have a 50% chance to drop traits, and that includes burn traits and scarce traits. Number 97. Immolators hate hammers and choke bombs. Number 98. Immolators can actually be stabbed without being ignited in deep water. This is a poor example. Number 99. If you kill grunts or hit them without killing them, they'll actually drop whatever they're carrying. This includes lanterns, whatever weapons they're carrying, or even torches. Certain items that they drop, such as torches, can interact with things such as oil or even red barrels. Don't ask me how I know. Number 100. Grunts can also interact with sound traps, such as stepping on sticks, or walking through chains, or stepping through glass. If you hear something like this go off, just know that it could also be a grunt. Number 101. You can actually wrap around the swarm that the hives send at you and then kill them. Number 102. You can actually pretty much hear any weapon from any distance in Hunt Showdown. Now, when you're equipping weapons, you can actually go to the 3D model and look at it, but you can also zoom out and shoot it to be able to hear what it's like from a distance. This is really good if you're trying to learn certain guns, and being able to tell what gun is being shot from across the map can give you a good indicator of how you're going to be playing the match. So like if you hear a shotgun, you should obviously keep note of that so that you know probably not to push the bounty layer that gets banished before you get there. Things like that. Number 103. You can actually use the search engine while looking through your weapons to categorize it by perks that can be used with them, or even special ammo types. It's really useful if you don't know what perks work with what guns, and I highly recommend people experiment with this, and the same thing works for like tools and consumables, and you can categorize those by different perks to see what gets utilized with what traits. Number 104. Use these weapon progression tabs to check on the variants that you still need to unlock, especially if you prestige. It can be easy to lose track of what you do and don't have. Number 105. If you and your teammates bring in the same weapons, you can actually share weapon XP, so if my teammate gets a kill with the Sparks here, I would also earn the XP towards my next Sparks variant. Number 106. Some people will say that switching weapons to cancel the reload animation of your gun will actually allow you to shoot your next bullet faster, but it's actually not true. Number 107. There is bullet drop in Hunt Showdown. Now if you pay attention to the little number above my ammo pool in the bottom right corner, it'll say 120 meters specifically for this Berthier, and that will be the number when you ADS with any weapon, and it'll tell you the bullet drop range of when the bullets start to drop. Number 108. All weapons have
I
different
didn't know
muzzle
if you had 'em.
velocities. Ammo types can also affect it, but just know that sometimes you have to lose shots.
Yep.
Number 109. Whether you're crouching, moving, or standing will affect the bloom of your crosshair when hip firing. There are a few exceptions though. Levering and fanning will not give you a tighter spread when crouched and will only worsen when you're moving. And the spread for shotguns are the same, whether you're walking, running, or crouching, so running and gunning with shotguns is real legit in Hunt. Number 110. Certain weapons have special the Dolch, the Bornheim, the Drilling, and the Berthier variants. Number 111. Weapons have a muzzle flash. This can actually be really useful for seeing people shooting out of bushes, but silencers don't have any muzzle flash, which can make this a bit trickier to locate people. Number 112. Certain ammo types are considered scarce ammo, which means you can't buy it from the lobby and you have to find it in the world, which can be found with these little ammo boxes that can usually be found at supply carts, but can also be found anywhere else on the map, and they look like this. Number 113. Incendiary ammo can immediately ignite somebody with one bullet as long as you're within 20 meters of range with compact or medium ammo. But if you're outside of that range, even by 1 meter, you'll have to use 2 bullets to ignite them. Number 114. For long ammo, incendiary will immediately ignite someone within 40 meters. But the same rules apply if they're outside of range. Number 115. If you're taking any kind of fire damage, it will always start the burning at the end of your health bar. Number 116. Dum-dum ammo will cause enemy hunters to bleed, and it's obviously very audible. Number 117. Poison ammo will prevent you or your enemy hunters from healing. You can either wait out the timer, or if you have antidote shots, that will prevent you from getting poisoned, which makes it completely irrelevant. Number 118. You can wallbang with pretty much anything as well, but the size of the rifle and the size of the bullet is what's going to impact how much and how far you can pen. You can wallbang through multiple surfaces, but you will have more damage reduction per wall. In regards to basic ammo types, compact ammo will really only be able to go through thin pieces of wood. Medium ammo can obviously go through thin pieces of wood, but also thicker pieces of wood. But it can't go through thin pieces of metal. And long ammo can pretty much do all the above. It can go through thin, thick wood, and it can also pen through thin sheets of metal. And with the nitro being special ammo, it can pen through pretty much anything, but the nitro can also collateral with just basic ammo. Number 119. The little aim trainer when you're throwing things is actually very useful. It'll be white whenever you're clear and not going to hurt yourself, but if you're ever throwing it and it turns red, That indicates that you're within range of your throwable, and it will damage you whenever it goes off. This is also extremely useful when you're trying to throw stuff in between cracks or through holes for buildings to breach, because it'll tell you if it'll fit or not. Number 120. Sometimes the indicator can be wrong, and this can happen with holes through buildings as well, but sometimes it's white and it'll still kill you.
What was that? What was that?
Number 121. Frags are not considered explosives. Frags deal rending damage, and they aren't considered explosives like dynamites are, so they won't blow up doors or windows or barricades or anything like that. Along with the trait Bulwark, it actually won't protect you from frags, so frags will do the same amount of damage even if you have Bulwark, which is kind of confusing, but it's just how it works. Number 122. Some consumables and throwables will just go through walls. Number 123. Choke bombs have an initial blast radius that's larger than when it settles. This is why sometimes if you're not the most accurate with chokes, your teammate will start burning again right after you just put them out. Number 124. Choke bombs will actually go through walls and other surfaces. This is useful because if you're on a different level than a burning teammate, you can actually just choke the floor or the ceiling and still put them out. Number 125. You have 3 different types of medkits. You have world medkits, you have deployable medkits that you can bring as a consumable, and then you have your tool medkit. Number 126. The standard medkit you use as a tool will only heal you for 50 health, unless you have the doctor trait, which will allow you to heal for up to 100. Number 127. Using a medkit will stop your bleed on top of heal any of your missing health. This is actually the most efficient way to heal, unless for some reason you're in a sticky situation where you need to stop your bleed immediately. But as time is concerned, stopping your bleed and then using your medkit will take a lot longer for you to be able to get back into the fight. Number 128. World and consumable medkits will heal you for 100, but don't use it too early, especially if you're really low on health, because then you'll have to use another medkit anyway. So if possible, it's best to let your health kind of regenerate a little bit and then hit the medkit so that you can get all the way back up to 150 health. The same concept also applies to your regular tool medkits. Number 129. Sometimes when you're deploying a beetle, you can actually just collide with the wall and it'll knock you out of the beetle. This is really inconvenient, especially when you throw your beetle outside and you hit something you don't see. I tried to replicate this, and it doesn't happen every time, but just know that it can happen, and it's really inconvenient. Number 130. Beetles are pretty much explosives. Whenever you use them behind doors or windows, it'll just straight up blow them up. Number 131. If you accidentally hit the water with your throwables, it'll completely put it out, except for wax frags and even some special ammo, such as the explosive frags from the bomb lance. Choke bombs will also still go off in the water. Number 132. Some items will just float to the surface, such as hive bombs, and you can actually still shoot those, and concertina will still go off too. These used to work for some explosives like the sticky bomb as well, but not anymore, which is kind of sad. But you can still interact with them and defuse them, even though they don't do anything. Number 133. Kill traps with concertina and poison tripwires have been nerfed, so as long as you just run straight through it, you'll actually survive no matter what. Number 134. You can actually jump over tripwires, including kill traps. Number 135. You cannot jump over bear traps. Number 136. Bear traps can actually clip through the ground. Whether it's extra dirt on the ground or cloth like this, it can actually be pretty well hidden. The assassin layer is also a prime example of this, with all the eggs all over the ground. Number 137. You can actually combo satchels with alert tripwires to make your own portable red barrel traps. You could just put the satchel on the ground and then put the alert next to it like a traditional red barrel, but putting it up on top of the doorway is a lot more stylish. Number 138. Decoys actually mimic hunter footsteps. The footsteps will change depending on what surface you hit with the decoy. Number 139. Tool and consumable timers. Any kind of dynamite and frags have a timer of 4 seconds before they blow up. Sticky bombs and chaos bombs, on the other hand, have an 8-second timer before they go off. Choke bombs will last 1 minute. Flares will last 1 minute. Fuses last 5 minutes. Hellfire bombs will last 5 seconds. Regular fire bombs will last for 2 minutes. Poison bombs last for 8.5 minutes. I sat here forever. Number 140. Crouching makes it easier to headshot you. Crouching is useful, but it can definitely be the death of you. Headshot. Number 141. A lot of people will talk smack about chaos bombs being useless, but me and my teams use them all the time, and they bait people a lot more than people want to admit. Number 142. Hunters' feet will always point in the direction they got shot from. Number 143. Aim punch is a bitch. It happens, but it definitely will mess up your shots, whether it's from AI or getting tagged by another hunter mid-shot. Number 144. You can bail off of ladders, especially if you see traps at the top of it, and this is useful to just get down from ladders quickly because it's not necessary to climb all the way down. Number 145. If you double jump in the water, it's actually faster to get across, even if it's deep water. This can be a little tricky, but it's very useful, especially if you're in the middle of a gunfight. Number 146. You can lure Dr. Grunts into compounds or wherever you need them to be able to use their medkit for later. Number 147. If you aggro the slugs, the meathead will run away in the direction where the slugs were aggroed. This makes it pretty easy to grab clues. Even though you'll take some damage from the slugs, it's better than getting hit by the meathead. Number 148. There's no real reason to aim down sight with shotguns. Unless you're running slugs, buckshot spread isn't affected by ADSing. Number 149. It is harder to see you behind windows, but if people have been playing for a while and they have pretty good eyesight, they'll probably still be able to tell if you're behind it. Number 150. If you have a melee charged up and you want to let it go without making any noise, you can just swap weapons and you'll put it down. Number 151. You can shoot crank doors. This is very useful if you know people have shotguns or if you're just across the room when you hear people approaching. And the same thing goes for red gates. Number 152. There's always going to be some sort of sign that people have been around. Whether it's a kennel that's been destroyed, or a trade on the ground that was possibly dropped by a meathead, or an ammo box that was taken, or a lantern or a medkit on the ground that was from a grunt. There's always some sort of sign. Number 153. You can actually open doors backwards by walking backwards and then opening it. Sometimes this feels like it's happening when you're opening it forwards and it kind of pushes you out the way, but you probably backstepped a little bit when it happened. You can also crouch and open doors silently, or you can run and melee doors open if you need to breach into a building very quickly. Number 154. It's risky, but you can just run through Concertina to clear it out to be able to unbury your buddy, or you can just hit it a little bit and stop your bleed so that you don't have to actually use any medkits and do that over and over again. Number 155. There is damage reduction with the friendly fire with shooting them, but not with explosives. So be careful when you're throwing things. Number 156. It's okay to be a bullet sponge. You're gonna have those matches, or sometimes even nights, where it just seems like everybody's only shooting at you, you're going through your meds super quickly, but every bullet that hits you is a bullet that doesn't hit your teammate, and that's one less heal that your teammates have to use as well. It might not be fun, but in regards to playing as a team, sometimes tanking bullets is one of the best things you can do. Number 157. Burn people as soon as you can. People really hate insta-burning, but if you have the opportunity to burn people and keep them out of the fight, is the smartest thing to do if you want to win and get out with the bounty. The less people they can get up, the better.
Dude, where were these guys even?
Right here. To add to that, burning can also usually help you indicate who's a part of whose team. Especially when you're fighting multiple teams, keeping track of everybody can be pretty confusing, especially when you're super close quarters.
Burn, just burn. Over here, somebody just little girl.
Number 158. You can't burn anybody if they're sitting in water. Number 159. Even if you know a whole team is dead, you should still burn them anyway to deny others from coming around and looting, to prevent them from getting medkits back or consumables, or even taking the other player's weapons.
I think I have to go to like a mine or not a mine, like a field.
Number 160. Dauntless is a great way to cover up your own tracks, especially if you use fuses. Since they last for so long, they will leave a trail if people are tailing right behind you. Number 161. Prematurely get rid of barrels. This will save you a lot of headache, especially if where you want to take a fight has them around.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. The knife, like the
Number 162. If you ever get blind by a flash, even though they're never used anymore, use the compass to navigate through compounds. This is actually surprisingly easy, especially when you start learning the maps. Number 163. If you win a match, such as wiping a lobby, or you just know no one's left, sometimes it's worth it just to explore the compounds and see what kind of cracks or holes you can find to get different lines of sight. There's always somewhere that somebody can be peeking from. Number 164. At the extract, taking cover behind the horses is actually the best bet because they can't be wallbanged. The cart itself is actually wallbangable. Just also make sure nobody shoots your toes. Stay moving. Number 165. Enemy hunters are usually like T-Rexes. They actually react to sound more than sight. So if people are running by you, just sit still and usually they won't notice. Number 166. It's usually best not to peek walls or cracks or windows directly up against them because your guns can actually clip through them, obviously giving away where you are. Even if you lower your gun, it can still clip through walls. Number 167. Players' outfits, such as big long capes and trench coats, can also clip through walls. Number 168.
I got it.
If you get the opportunity to revive a teammate, you probably should take it. Hunt is pretty much a numbers game. You'd much rather be in a 3v3 than in a 2v3. Because even if you get revived and you're missing health, being able to take more bullets or get one shot on an enemy can make all the difference before you go back down.
Okay, he's up.
Oh, here on me.
I hit him once.
Got him.
Number 169. Restoration effects to get your burnt bars back. There's multiple perks that can give you restoration effects to get your permanently burnt bars back, such as Rampage, which will give you a restoration effect after getting a kill if you're missing health. Remedy is another burnt trait that pretty much allows you to scan any other trait that you find in the world to get your health back. but it's honestly just useful to find more traits. You can also use the restoration shot, which is new, to get your health back as well, which is just a normal consumable. Number 170. You can actually steal the reserve ammo off of dead hunters' weapons as long as it's the same ammo type. Just swap weapons and you'll have the ammo. Number 171. If your teammate's in a weird spot, you can just run out and tap them and you'll put out the fire. This is pretty useful, but definitely risky. Number 172. You can actually just jump right over vault points without having a vault. You should get in the habit of doing this because you're faster and you're not stuck in an animation. The animations can usually get you killed or at least make you an easier target to hit because you slow down. You can avoid vaulting windows as well by just jumping into the window sideways and crouching. Number 173. Have fun and just do some parkour. This can actually be really useful to avoid fall damage by landing on railings or any other particular things, and this can actually make it easy to get around certain parts of compounds. Number 174. Sometimes you can find cracks or windows to be able to shoot the barricade on the other side of barricaded doors. If you can shoot the little wood that's barricading it, it'll actually open the door. Number 175. You can actually do this by wall banging the wooden bar on the other side of barricaded doors as well. If you just ping right above that wooden bar on the outside, you can just go ahead and aim at your ping and wall bang the piece of wood. This can be extremely useful for a number of reasons, but especially if you're wanting to push into a layer, typically no one will trap up barricaded doors, so as long as the surrounding of the building is wood, you can go ahead and wall bang it and then breach. Number 176. Never assume you're alone in a lobby unless you can account for all 12 players in the match. You never know if you're going to come across a duo or a solo whenever you're playing trios, for example, which can definitely throw off your lobbies. So if you've only counted an odd amount of people, like 10 or 11 people, then obviously you should keep a lookout for a solo or a duo. The amount of times I've died because I let my guard down because I thought the lobby was dead without counting 12 bodies, including myself or my team, is way too many. Number 177. Hunt is a very hard game to learn and takes a lot of hours to really master. So if you're new, please don't get discouraged, just keep putting the time in, and I promise you'll get better. Number 178. Ask questions.
Nope.
I'll be more than happy to answer any questions down in the comments or during any of my live streams. And I highly recommend joining my Discord. I'm very active in there and I can definitely reply a lot faster. Number 179. If you're still here at the end of the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Subscribing really helps out the channel and we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. And share this with a friend as well, whether they're new to Hunt and just kind of need some tips and tricks, or maybe it's a buddy of yours that you're trying to convince to get into Hunt Showdown. This could really help them kind of get an idea of what the game's going to all be about. Hey, and there's actually one more tip. Tip number 180. If you've been around the channel, you might know what it is. That's to stay safe in the bayou.